Hi there, and welcome to Shapers, Makers, Builders, and Breakers. I'm your host today, Benjamin Shaw. Shapers is the podcast show that brings you African leadership stories in all spheres of society, where we interview exceptional individuals telling us their story.
This podcast is brought to you by Exeo Capital. Exeo Capital is a leading alternative private equity fund manager that through its 15-year history have focused on investing in African businesses with purpose and impact. Exeo covers the whole of the African continent with investment teams based in Cape Town, South Africa and Nairobi, Kenya, currently managing investments in 9 African countries. The core investment thesis revolves around partnering with exceptional businesses and their teams that have the ability to impact Africa in the decades to come. Exeo does this through providing growth capital to these businesses, but more than that, leveraging a partnership ethos with the companies they invest in. For more information, please have a look at their website, www.exeocapital.com. That is www.exeocapital.com.
Since the start of the Shapers podcast, the approach to interviews has remained the same. Engage in peer-to-peer conversations by asking the questions that we would most like the answers to. Today on the show, we are joined by Talifhani Banks, a data and advertising guru now building out technology for the Township economy of spaza shops. As with all episodes, this conversation was layered with insight, surprising reflections, and inspiration for us all.
We hope that you will enjoy today's conversation as much as we enjoyed recording it. Without any further delay, let's dive into our next episode of Shapers, Makers, Builders, and Breakers.
With me now is Talifhani Banks, an up-and-coming entrepreneur, but already with a wonderful story. Having achieved so much so quickly, I want to say a big congratulations. You've been in the news plenty, but allow me to introduce you to listeners who might still be learning your name.
Yes.
You started your first business at 10, selling produce with your family before you studied statistics and econometrics, which was at the University of Pretoria. You grew up with corporate experience, then consulting, and then you launched Analytics Advertising, which has now been rolled into a larger group called AnalyticsX, of which you're the group CEO.
Yes.
You launched that in 2017, and you were awarded the BRICS Entrepreneur of the Year in 2022, which could only have been a wild ride through hugely challenging times.
Yes.
Perhaps you could start off by sharing what it is that's driven you to achieve, and what is it that this group does?
What drives me is it cuts deep from where we started back in Utrecht as a family. We were trying to find ways to survive, and that's how I got to be in entrepreneurship.
Where is that?
Utrecht is in Limpopo, along the N1. Yeah, just after Polokwane. I learned there that entrepreneurship is connected to me. Went to University of Pretoria, studied statistics. I had option. I think I wanted to study accounting and econometrics, but I couldn't make a decision. So I said statistics is my thing, and found out that that is where I wanted to be, just to make sense of numbers and understand different disciplines. First, after I finished university, I went to work at Massmart. I was a data analyst, my first job. And I was working on different brands for macro. And that's when I learned that there's so much brands in the retail space. And the future of retail is analytics. You need more numbers to unpack these brands.
So Talifhani, your vision for where analytics would go, that came a lot later. But you mentioned in the bio that I read, you actually started a business with your family right there on the side of the N1 in Limpopo. What was driving that at that point? That wouldn't have been the insight that you wanted to get to analytics in the future.
No, it was not connected to that. But it always makes sense backwards, just like how Steve Jobs said. I think my father used to work for Transnet. So he somehow had opportunity to get a house anywhere next to a train station because Transnet had a place there. So he had to choose. I think he chose here in Gauteng or Utrecht, and my mother wanted to stay that side. And when we got that side, he was not aware that you pay levies in this place. He didn't know. He just thought, you stay there. So whatever he was contributing was enough. I think back in the days, 2,000, 3,000 was a lot of money that he was contributing to our house. And he had this house that he was paying. And at some point within 2 years, he paid it off. Wow. So he was a pusher, but that wasn't enough to support 6 kids with 6 siblings. Wow. And we go into different schools in that town. Money runs quick. You pay electricity, you pay all of this. So what drove business was the fact that you needed an extra money to support the basic living. Yes. Even though when I say it looks like I was struggling so bad, but it's not that. We were just supporting the process of day to day. And because it was so important to make a profit, I learned there that it's so key that whatever you do and whatever you put your mind to, you need to get it done. And that's why I'm learning the basics of entrepreneurship. And also, people talk about marketing and targeting and positioning. Back then, people, when you're selling fruits and veg, everyone is selling from the same supplier and they're selling the same thing in the same way with a container. So you learn to position yourself different and getting your different spot in that place. That's why when I'm doing entrepreneurship now, I don't do what everyone does. I already know that it's the same as, you know what I mean?
It's the same as selling the same produce.
The same projects so everything I will do, even if we're selling the same thing, you will see that I will come different. You will notice me wearing this Nigerian hat. All I'm saying is I'm a different guy to them. But we might be doing the same thing. What it does to me is it packaged me different to everyone else. And I learned it all day that whatever you do, you have to be positioned different and you have to be presentable and be ready. Yeah.
Presentable, ready, and differentiated. That's a great takeaway. So you're doing this already at 9, 10 years old.
Yes.
You've got a family. You said there were 6 siblings.
6 siblings, yeah.
And you supported your family to get yourself through school. Were your siblings doing the same thing?
Let me say they tried to recruit them, but it was not their thing. I've got a good family and all of them are educated now and they're probably doing bigger things than I've done. But they are not salespeople. They are not out there. So they wanted to be in the room. They wanted to play games.
And you were hustling on the streets.
Yeah, I was outside. Yeah.
Okay. So you get through school, you support the family in this way, you're building your business skills, learning to be differentiated, as you said, and then you get the opportunity to go to university. You pointed out that although you wanted to do econometrics and economics, you did statistics and econometrics, which of course is the prelude to analytics business.
Yeah.
So you left the story with us at Massmart. You'd gone into Massmart. You're doing analytics and advertising. What was the insight that you got there? And take us through the thinking of getting a job. If you're so entrepreneurial, that was your decision out of varsity.
Yeah. When I was at university, I used to listen to a lot of podcasts, and I listened to one that touched me about Steve Jobs, and that's the one I referenced to. And he left university. But I just knew that if I leave university, my story will be everything that I will do in the future, they won't respect it. I wanted to come with education to show that I've went there, but that was not my route. So I pushed to finish, and I just knew that.
And why? Did you not want to regret not finishing?
Yes, I didn't want to regret not finishing because I was listening to this man, Steve Jobs, is saying, I left here and whatever. I was not so bad in academics. But it was also not my thing.
It wasn't your passion.
Yeah. I want to do this thing for 30 minutes, go right, you know. But I knew then that if I don't finish, also I think I graduated just to make my family proud. My father, he respected university and he did so much for me. He used to go to Transnet and show people the newspaper, my results and stuff like that. Wow. So I just wanted to prove that I can. But after university, I was well aware of what I'm doing, and I used to speak it. Those who were there know that I'm going to do business. But I needed to learn the blueprint. And that's why I didn't go to banking. Most of my friends went to JSE, they went to banking, NetBank. I went to retail. And I knew retail already, that retail is proper business. You learn everything. I'm interested to the fresh things that I've learned back in the days. I want to know how they move units, how the supply chain works, and the logistics. It was just crazy and madness at the time. I remember most of my friends, they're no longer here. Most of them are now continental, living in UK, America and stuff. And we all asked, we had passport, and it was like, what is there next? And I used to say, Africa is untapped. Africa is untapped. And the best way to do that, you need to go visit the corporate, learn how they do business. And then I got this opportunity. And I remember a friend of mine saying, he was like, I wouldn't take that. But we're not coming from the same background. His father had properties and hotels that he's fine. I know that there's no backup in this thing. And the only thing I want to know is the business heart of it. And I took the job. And not because I couldn't get other jobs. I could have got another job. I mean, there's only a few people who graduated statistics at the time. But I took it to understand exactly what they told me, because I asked so many questions in that interview. And one of them was, the future is going to be depending on analytics. And I became passionate about analytics and understanding what is the importance of understanding data and making data-driven decisions. From Mass-Mart, I mean, I was involved in all products in macro accounts, national. And that's when I'm getting surprised that there's so many units of products in this one store and nobody knows. So many brands, thousands of brands, more than 100,000 in one store.
Now, when you talk about analytics, I want to break that from advertising. Analytics and advertising is a phrase we're all aware of.
Yes.
But you're speaking about retail analytics.
Yes.
And now you're talking about product SKUs.
Yes.
And branding.
Yes.
Was that part of the attraction to go into formal retail at the time, to learn something that was completely new from your previous experience?
I was interested to know the retail business. Didn't have a full 360 view. But when I'm inside now, I'm learning all different products, and I'm learning about price segmentation, data cleaning and stuff like that.
Okay, so combining the academic background you had, the previous experience in retail, running a business, which even though we might look down in some cases on the informal sector, I want to come back to that because I know it plays a big part of your story today.
Everything.
But the formal sector retail, there's a reason these businesses are so big. They actually do a lot of great work, great systems.
And structure,
And you went there to learn the structure.
Yes.
So then you started moving your analytics and the data segmentation, the pricing segmentation, the various brands. You started moving that more towards the advertising space.
Yes.
Define advertising for us when you talk about analytics. What is the relationship between?
Background, I moved to Pick n Pay after that. I was a pricing analyst. As a pricing analyst, you have to be involved in pricing the products that are going to the store, to the shelf. And you have to be involved in the marketing of those products. You get budgets that are coming from suppliers and you put them on TV, leaflets, newspapers, things like that. I'm also responsible to quantify return on investment on the marketing budgets to the pricing and the sales we're going to generate. I'm realizing there's no relationship between what I'm quantifying on ROI and the people buying, because I don't have the data points of how many leaflets were read, or after you read the newspaper, did I convert you? I don't know that. And I have estimates. I remember we used to have estimates of, on average, if you put 2 million on Coca-Cola, this is how much you can make. But it's an estimate. And that estimate is thumb-sucked.
Coca-Cola adverts you're talking about?
Yes.
Right. So marketing budgets were going in, but the expectation of return was just an estimate.
Yeah, it was just an estimate. And I became interested to know, how can I know that one person who I converted? And that's the increase, that's the new development of digital. Digital was starting to grow as a marketplace, and I could see that now. Also, at the time, I was helping a lot of artists with some extra work outside, signing deals for them and stuff. And I learned that there's a connection between understanding individuals and product and quantifying return on investment. So we wanted to start this company that is going to be interpreting data to marketing, because marketing is about positioning, is about creating the best advert, but to who? To the same customer. And also, now that I'm a data scientist at the time, I understand there's different types of customers. So when we are targeting customers and we are creating this content, are we aware of how much we're gonna impact, and how much understanding the customer can help us create the content? I didn't see the relationship at the time, and we wanted to build analytics advertising, saying that use data to influence creativity and use creativity to talk to the heart of people. That's why analytics advertising is science, art, and heart.
Wow. So science, art, and heart. That's a great phrase.
Yes. So you're using science, technology, developing systems, and you're mining this data, and you're unpacking the data, and you now, just imagine like understanding the customer sensitivity, who's our who's our biggest champion customer and who's our churning customer or whatever, who are not buying from us and who's our new customers. That information can help you know how to move on the next marketing campaign.
Now you've said something very interesting there, which was while you were working on the analytics, let's call it the science of advertising, you had a cross-section or a view of a different sector, the arts.
Yes.
And you said you were working with artists. Were they musical artists?
Musical artists. They are international now. Yeah.
International musical artists. Okay, so there's not much that you haven't touched in some way or another.
Yeah.
But in looking at that very different industry to retail, you were starting to apply some of the insights or the learnings in their creative process now into advertising.
Yeah.
And my understanding is from that point, as you'd made those strategic leaps or your intuition kicked in, you then decided to build your own company. What was that moment like? Why did you do that?
It was madness also. It's like, okay, yes, we know that you've learned this and that, but why would you do that? Why don't you just grow into what you're doing? I mean, you're going to be...
Climb the corporate ladder.
Yes. I feel empty. I'm doing 10% of who I am every day. And every day I'm doing 10%. Let me tell you why. I'm a data person. I'm a number person. We all sit here, we're talking numbers. I already read the numbers. And it's so easy for me that I don't apply myself every day. And now I'm coming to do the same thing that I already know. But when I was doing creativity and helping these artists, it was so complex that it needed a solve, I felt like it was an X that I needed to solve. And it was...
You were solving for X.
Mentally, I'm always trying to solve for X. So I learned that that's where I feel like I've done a little bit 30% of me. And I need more of that. I need to do more of that. Even if I don't know whether it's going to work or not. But if I'm doing that, imagine like I'm here already now, but I'm applying 10% of me. What can happen if I'm 100%? Sure. That's what I bet on. Yeah.
Well, that's well said. And I suppose that is also the name AnalyticsX must have come from, right?
Yes.
Let's take a bit of a pause on the story.
Yeah.
You're now, in present day, you're the CEO of a group. That's a very different role to a founder in the trenches, building out data, as you said, as a numbers guy, looking at rows of it day after day. And those roles are discrete because on the one hand, you're managing a team and a brand now. And in the beginning, you were starting off fresh with no clients and just an idea.
Just like you, yeah.
What has been that...
Transition.
What has the transition been like from founder to group CEO? And what do you think the lessons are in how you've transitioned over a period of, is it 5 years?
7 years now.
7 years.
Yeah, 7. This is our 7th year. When you start, you do everything that is possible to make, because in your mind, you don't know, you don't have a blueprint of somebody who has done this before. So you're not working from a scope that you have seen. And also you don't believe in yourself 100%. You probably believe in yourself 40%. And everyone around you thinks you are mad. So every day you're trying to prove to yourself that you are that person. So the mindset of a founder, it's around, I need to see if this works. And you're always trying different things and they don't come from experience. You're doing it from your thoughts and intuition. And most of the time, that's where you fail a lot. But with me, what kept me going and sustaining the momentum is that it's good business. I'm a spiritual person. As long as you do it right and you don't rob anyone in this process, it's going to last for a long time. And I think what helps me is the ability to understand numbers and calculate. Because if I do something and I see the pattern, I'm not going to do it again. So I started studying my pattern of how I've been failing and how I should move next and what type of people I should work with. And how we built AnalyticsX was we stopped working with individuals because they are very much uncertain. Then you're not sure whether they're going to pay you. Small emerging business, same. Now it's about proving our name into the corporate market. Even if it's difficult, let's find a way. We've got a track record. And that's where you see me on LinkedIn explaining my story. I learned that with artists will never say book me, but they will do whatever it takes to have you book them. They will create enough content to have you attracted to them. It's the same model with corporate. Corporate are not interested to you, but you can create a story that makes a corporate guy who's sitting there and went through the same story connect to you. I started talking about the truth and the organic journey of building a data science company and what we go through and some of the insights we've solved. This is what is talking to a guy who's working for a manufacturing company and he's sitting there like, this is what we need, man. Can you call this guy in the room? When I go in the room, I'm no longer saying my name is. I'm going in there to say, this is how we solve it. And they're giving me data points. I'm still the same guy. You're putting me in where I belong. You give me data points. I've got 2-3 guys who are assisting me. We're solving the problem.
Sure.
And day by day, we're building.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's a really succinct way of explaining that transition. And now managing, you were sort of the consultant and now managing your team, which obviously consults to, as you say, these much larger clients. Now, let's dive into something that you said a bit earlier. You said you're a man of faith and your beliefs are very important to you. You're also, as you said, quite outspoken now. You use LinkedIn to profile yourself, the work that you're doing, the companies that you're involved in. What has that been like? How has that process shaped you, first of all? And now, how are you using that to build not just a profile for yourself, but for those around you and for your community?
I found that I read a lot of books, and one of them is the Robert Greene, Laws of Human Nature. We are social animals. We connect beyond words. We connect through energy. And in the room, you know what is going on, even if nobody talking. But some of us haven't trained ourselves to trust that energy. We feel like we need to trust the words. So I tapped into understanding energies in the room. And me being spiritual allows me to understand the bottom principles of life and in how we should move in the room. And I'm aware to interpret data still. I'm aware to interpret energies, which means I know how to move and what to say in that room. And I'm conscious of it. Now, when I go to online, I'm also aware of what I'm saying. I'm not just saying everything. There's a lot of people who say a lot, but how I stand out is because I'm aligning what we do in analytics and how we can help companies with the true nature of living, which is social. And I am already aware that as a social person, beyond race, culture, and anything, and also from my experience of growing in Loyitrichard, if I talk the bottom principles of life, everybody's going to hear me. And that's what I do.
That's fascinating. You know, we've read through such a vast quantity of content from creators that haven't actually done.
Yes.
And yet they come across as very polished professional creators now.
They speak it well.
They speak it well.
Yeah.
And to hear that the process has also been engineered by those who are doing in order to profile themselves, I mean, that's heartening. When you consider that process that you've undertaken, you've mentioned doing analytics for companies, but also just analytics on people in the room, able to deal with them. You've managed to build not an empire, but you've managed to build this group. You're recently recognized as the BRICS Entrepreneur of the Year. What was that like? I believe you left the country to accept an award for that.
Yeah.
And what's lying ahead for the group? I'd like to talk about Spaza Eats, for example.
I needed that win, not for anyone else, but for me, because for a long time I've been this mad person. And
what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is crazy enough to do things that nobody truly believes in around you, and everyone thinks it's madness. To be able to do something like that is nobody. Out of 1,000 people where you're coming from, you're the only one doing this. What kind of madness is that? So I needed to prove to self that I was never mad. It was just an outlier, different caliber. And I needed to go to, they said, no, we can deliver it. I said, I'm coming.
Wow.
I needed to go there for a story to be told that, you know what I mean? Because there was a time when I was in high school and we used to make a lot of jokes. And I remember this guy, I relate a lot to because that time is the beginning of what I was thinking and what I was reading. And this guy just said then, like, you've got international dreams. And everyone is laughing. Yes, that's what it is. That's why I had to go to Russia to pick the trophy to remind you that I am an international dreamer who can make it actual.
Wow.
Yeah. And now what it means around the people around me, it's about finding yourself enough to know that every day you have to be applying yourself, your genius level talent every day. And most people who work with me, they are genius in what they're doing. And that's what allows us to scale better because everyone is good. They're so good in what they're doing. Yeah, that's what's building.
That's fantastic. So you went off to Russia, you got your award, BRICS Entrepreneur of the Year, massive achievement. Obviously, the recognition for yourself, you've explained, is more important than what it was for everyone else. But it gives you a bit of the moral credibility, let's say, to tell others how they could succeed, or to share with others your journey of success.
Yes.
Now, that journey has extended beyond AnalyticsX. And I mentioned I was going to come back a little earlier to the informal economy to talk about Spaza Eats, which I'm very excited about it as a concept.
Yeah.
I saw a couple of stats, and I'll share them with you. The township economy, which is now synonymous with your brand, Spaza Eats, it's by various estimates, about 60% of the township economy is formal, 40% informal. There's estimates of about 5% of South Africa's GDP going through it each year. Over 150,000 spaza shops, and it employs roughly 1 in 6 people in the country. An unbelievable market.
It's a big market.
Incredible market. One which is dominated still by cash.
Yes.
One where systems haven't been implemented, and one where, to your earlier point, there's very little data.
Yes.
So it doesn't strike me as too odd that it'll be an opportunity for someone like you. What is it that you're doing there?
1 of 6 without system. It's an organic, big market.
Yeah.
Without system. I am
Is that the opportunity?
Yes. 1 of 6 without data points, without system. And I'm a system builder. What can I do that will be more powerful beyond my name, beyond what we have done? It needs to be an untapped market. And I've learned that Africa is so similar to the townships. So if you solve it in one township, you can automate the process. Spaza Eats became that idea that it's a platform that you can build this marketplace, but you started in one category like food delivery. And yes, we're talking Spaza Eats as a food delivery for local cuisines and African cuisines, but we're not limited to that. We can sell anything. And also we can get into other categories like pharmacy, grocery, beauty, and things like that.
So Spaza Eats, let's just define it for listeners. It's last mile delivery.
Yes.
Currently, it's between spaza shops and consumers.
Yes, 100%.
And you're now saying that's already potentially expanding now, pharmacies, cosmetics, etc.
Yes.
Who are the clients there that you're able to build partnerships with?
So how it works, Spaza Eats, it's a 3-way app. You've got a customer app, you've got an outlets app, and a delivery app. So a customer will make a food order at an outlet, and the outlet will accept the order, 15 minutes, cook, delivery man comes, pick it up, it delivers. As that process happens, you can extend it to other categories like grocery and other things, but that's the process.
Would it be, so I'm cutting your word here, would it be fair to liken the app to a Checker 60 or Uber Eats, but in the township economy?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's the model.
Yes.
And you're relying on your analytics background, the ability to build systems to integrate that.
100%.
Now, of course, one of the advantages that I could see, and I had known very little about the township economy, is that because you've got such density of population, your cost of service is going to be a lot lower than it would elsewhere. You also have very high unemployment rates, so you've got good costs.
Yeah.
But on the downside, you don't have security, and you also will struggle to advertise to that market. Is that been sort of the findings you've had so far? What has your progress been to date?
Exactly that and more. Network data. They don't have, it's still very much untapped, and it's still a bigger challenge to promote in this market. But give it a 3-year plan. It's not a 1-year quick fix. I think of it like China back in the days. If you buy anything from China, it's an imitation. It's fake. Look at them now. All the name brands come from there. 3 to 5 years from now, if we continue, we are the biggest marketplace in the township that has automated the system. So I'm building knowing that we are just about educating until the system works. And I'm going to create all the partnership. Already now, there's so many partners that I've created, more than 5 big partners, because they already know me for corporate doing good job. Now they're saying, oh, we're joining you. And these are all powerful brands.
That's really interesting because just on a previous pod that we did, Will Green was mentioning how valuable it is to have corporate expertise, to have experience, to have relationship, build business relationships
powerful, yes.
that you can then leverage into your startup company.
Yes.
That's it. So I'm curious, you're obviously hugely driven as a businessman, but relationships are also important to you. How do you keep that balance? How do you stay in touch with your network? How do you build new relationships? And what lessons could you share with other entrepreneurs who may be starting out 5 years before, where you are today?
I got an opportunity to be mentored by Ackerman, and RIP to him, Raymond Ackerman, founder of Pick and Pay. And he shared multiple key things, and he talks about the table and the one leg being administration, another leg being merchandising, pricing, and promotion, and the last leg being people. And why he shares things like that is you must know your administration, know your books, just do your books right. That's why you need accountants and auditors around you. And when he talks about merchandising, just in any business, just have your products well categorized and well structured and your pricing good. And when he talks about promotion and social responsibility, you need to promote your brand in a way that makes you different. And also be responsible to people so they can serve you. You're serving these people. And also it's about people and the people around you. This is the structure that is building. I learned from him that doing good is good business. You just have to be a good person. Just be a good person. And the more you are good and do good to everyone, it comes back to you without realizing. And my journey is about doing good to everyone. And spaza is, I'm not making profit from this thing yet. It's still an engine, but I'm so passionate about it, like I'm making billions from. But I am aware of what it's going to be in the future when drivers earning 4.5, already that's happening, drivers earning 4.5, 3,000 a week from this engine. Merchants making 2,000, 10,000 a week from this engine. When they becoming bankable, and this is happening across 3,000, 4,000 merchants, that's when it's going to hit that we've built an engine that is powerfully serving that economy. Reason we talk about crime. You know why there's crime in the township? They don't have anything to do. Even if I put you in a room and you're so bored for the whole year, I promise you, you're gonna scrap the wall. They don't have anything. So I'm not saying crime won't happen, but keep the guys busy. It doesn't require metric to make deliveries.
So that's interesting. Let's take a step back from that and look now at a sort of a macro level, not just your business, but the opportunity that you've identified.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I understand what you're saying. You're on the one hand saying that there's an opportunity to use a latent workforce, which is underutilized, underappreciated, and lacking in purpose.
Yes.
On the other hand, you've got the experience in rolling out business systems, and you've got the credibility.
Absolutely.
Not just
to be trusted.
To be trusted, but not just from a business perspective, but from that community.
Yes.
From your previous
experience. From there, I know.
You're from there, right? You mentioned Robert Greene. What was that book's title?
The Laws of Human Nature.
The Laws of Human Nature. What other books or podcasts do you listen to? How do you keep up to date with business trends and also personal development?
I listen to a lot of podcasts. Shout out to Penwell, the
Black Pen.
The Black Pen. Why I'm saying him is because his mandate is to educate through his platform. And I listen to a lot of international platforms. I read a lot of books. And when it comes to books, I've read all books from Robert Greene. 48 Laws of Power, Mastery, 50th Law, Les Brown, Steve Jobs.
Business books and rules for life.
Outliers. Yes. I read, so in the beginning I used to read mind awakening books, or you call them motivational books. Now I read strategy books. Like, what would you do in that? I read things like that because I've learned that if I get into a situation, I use it to my advantage. Yeah. So I get in.
On this pod, we covered Bill Duggan, who wrote Strategic Intuition, and it's exactly what you're describing: being able to absorb strategy in non-aligned contexts and then applying it in your own. And that's of course a huge skill for business.
Yes.
Not just.
Just to add on that, spaza is, when you log in, spaza is, it's a basic survivalist business, but they are all presented the same now on digital platform. You can't tell whether it's coming from KFC or in that platform, meal is proper, it's premium. And even if it's coming from a quarter place or a corner somewhere, on the digital place, we make sure the menu is clean and attractive. What I'm trying to decentralize in that is that let's help this informal business become presentable on the platform. And I'm learning that from everything I've went through. Yeah.
Sure. That's wonderful insight. Now, not many business people can be genuine when they say that they're up to date on AI, on machine learning, on LLMs, geotechnology. You can kind of make that claim,
50%.
which is fantastic. I mean, again, in terms of the African context, not many people who can do that and say that. Why have you been focused on the sort of, if I could call it, the bleeding edge of tech? So first, why is that the focus? And then secondly, do you think that that's going to change in the next 2, 3, 4 years as you continue to build out your group? What are your plans and how do they relate to tech?
When I was in economics, there used to be these trends, and they say it's an proactive trend or something. It moves before the economy moves. And there's an economic trend which moves with the economy. And there's a lagging economy.
Lagging, leading, and following, I think.
Yeah. When I started analytics advertising, digital was ahead of the economy. And I was chasing that. As soon as that it becomes economical line, I'm with it. With the new trends now, when you talk geospatial, when you talk AI, you're talking all this conversation. They are not big yet, but they are moving before the economy moves.
So they're your new leading indicators.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying they will work on my favor, but as long as I'm there, they are the new biggest trends that we're talking about. And as they adjust and change, we will change with them. 5 years from now, we are the new trend by default.
What impact do you want your group to have on Africa?
Build a system that is reliable and sustainable or dependable for the local market who don't have brain work to build a system by themselves, to feed from it.
Define system for me. I'm going to push you on this. So tell me what it is that you're bringing to Africa in providing that benefit. What is that system that you're able to provide?
Corporate business, you see them building to scale up to that level and consistently so. It's because they have a structure that works together. In informal business, there's no structure. That's why it goes like this. There's no direction. It's not that there's no growth. If there was a direction, there was going to be scalability. You are building this system to say, don't go outside this direction. Stay within. And that has been built, but not to accumulate wealth. It was built for education, hospital, this and that. Now I'm building an engine that allows you, without metric, to start generating money, to start your outlet and start trading. And you just enter your details in this thing and you start trading. That might not be known as the biggest system, but in my world, in the digital world, this is the new direction.
So what you're describing, and I want you to correct me if I've misunderstood, but what you're describing is a decentralized platform that allows suppliers to market their produce to a market that can also come to one platform to access. So
absolutely.
So is it a informal Amazon? Would
absolutely, and I agree with that.
Okay, so that's what you're building toward, that's what you're scaling towards, and you're starting with last mile food delivery. That's because I imagine, most of the informal trade in Township is food, fresh produce.
Yes.
And you're now looking to add businesses onto that.
Absolutely. And somebody was like, there's no street points. That's the problem. That's the problem we are solving. That there's no street points, there's no data geospatial. But what if I say that I'm going to do drones? What if I say I'm going to know where the location is through a pin? Because I've sat in a meeting with the guys from TomTom, and we're going head to head on what is the best way to get a pin to the house. What if I say that I already have the data points to pins of houses? What if I say a drone, I can program it to deliver straight? So these are things that I'm not saying that will happen automatically better, but these are problems we should be solving in a different way. In Amazon, it works in a normal road. Mine might not work that way. And we are open to that.
And you said earlier that if you could get it right in a South African township, you could expand that into Africa.
100%.
Have you had any success in that? Have you got any case studies that you're now looking to build? What's the process?
One of the guy we know very well, he's in Botswana. Botswana, we've got a business for analytics advertising that is operating there. He says, I'm going to run Spaza Eats this side. How much? Franchise. There's many more people like him who wants to do the same.
So franchise model of the technology that,
Yes.
that you could build out. Well, that's fantastic. That's a great way to do it.
Yes.
Do you think that Africa is ready for that? Is there a reluctance to trust technology?
They are not reluctant. They just don't trust the people speaking about it.
Really?
They don't speak it in their language. They speak it, but it's like, hey, I'm not sure.
Sure.
But I can speak it when I was in Kenya, I can't even speak the language, but I will do action that makes them feel like, he's our one. That's what's failing. It's not like the communities never wanted this technology and they are rebellious.
So the messenger is actually getting shot down with the message, and you're able to be the messenger that gets through.
Absolutely. That's why they use DSTV and they pay every month. In the township, it's the biggest place where DSTV is consumed. We don't even have one. But in communities, that's where every house, it's a lifestyle. If you don't have one, something is wrong with you.
Right.
How did they sell it? They made it so simple that the people in there own it. And these guys, they can use the SASA money to go pay DSTV. They don't mind technology. They just mind how you said it. And I'm going to speak this technology in a way that connects with them and they speak for me. And already it's starting to a point where we are no longer doing marketing in the future.
It's fascinating. It's such an interesting perspective, and one that I haven't come across before in South Africa.
Yeah.
I'll tell you where I have. There's a movement coming, I wouldn't say coming back. There's a movement in the US to review policies made under the Trump administration.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And the reason for that is because although, I won't say everyone, but a great number of people disliked Trump's presidency because of Trump.
Yes.
There's also a growing acknowledgement, a begrudging acknowledgement that some of the policies done under his administration were actually, they proved themselves correct.
Yes.
They were good. And exactly the point you just made and linked here is that because of the impoverished moral position of the messenger, some of the messages were ignored.
Didn't get there. Yeah.
And they didn't get there to the people that should have actually listened to it and paid attention as to the objective message. And you're saying here, the objective technology, the benefits of these new systems haven't reached their intended target because of the messenger or the method of messaging.
Get the message across.
And that's where the solve is. That's the change.
We need to perfect the communication so that people speak for us. In that market, there's no marketing. They market for you.
Amazing. Yeah. Just before we close, I've asked you about the books that you've been reading. People might want to read the books, but they might also want to come to you to learn a bit more about your business. How can they get in touch? Do you have any other things you want to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I also wrote a book called Beyond Ambition. It's a blueprint to becoming a founder or to become an entrepreneur. But
where can people get that?
On Take-A-Lot, Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
Beyond Ambition.
Beyond Ambition.
And it's Talifhani Banks.
Yes. Other platform, check me on LinkedIn and Instagram. Or you can follow our company pages, AnalyticsX, Analytics Advertising on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
Fantastic. Any last message for the listeners? Anything that maybe you'd have wanted me to ask you and I haven't?
Yeah.
And now's your opportunity.
I would like to say one thing, that there's no need to do things that you are not connected to. There's no need. Like, we only have limited time. And people want, when I was in corporate, I would have guys hiding from what they're doing and no CEO doesn't see me. You're wasting your own time. There's no time to waste your energy on stuff that don't take you anywhere. So I would appreciate if every day you're doing what is connected to you. And if that was your last day, you would appreciate what you've done.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been a real pleasure to have you on the pod. And we look forward to reading and hearing about your stories going forward.
More impact. Yeah. More continental impact. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Shapers, Makers, Builders and Breakers. We trust that you've been encouraged by what you've just heard. Subscribe to future episodes and find out more about us at shaperspodcast.co.za. That is shaperspodcast.co.za.
Well, that's right. Don't forget to subscribe for new episodes and other content, and remember, share any feedback with us. We'd love to hear from you. Find me on Twitter at b_d_shaw or via email. We look forward to your company the next time on Shapers, Makers, Builders and Breakers. Until that time, cheers, bye-bye.